remember one of the girls brought in bubbles to school. Like the teacher wasn't going to notice. Suddenly, it's Lawrence Welk show with the bubbles popping all over the place.
Mummies have actually been found in their coffins with toothpicks.
True story.
Because you don't want to be without one in case you get a hold of some nifty kettle popcorn in the afterlife.
This chicken was bent in half, basically with its head between its legs, straining and pushing for about 15 minutes to finally produce one perfect brown egg.
You did this to me, you son of a bitch!
Mine said, funniest camper, Mark Marciani. Apparently, I became a paisan during my tenure there. Pass the ragu. This week's sponsor is Accidental Cunnilingus Soda. What a nice surprise.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.
So,
Again, I'm just going to announce this.
Yeah.
Spotify's been weird lately, and they're saying that they're closing out the talk and music thing. So when we say, let's play a song, it might have to just be a clip from here on out. So it all depends on Spotify, which really sucks because this is the whole reason why we picked Spotify as our platform, because we could talk and then play songs. And they've apparently eliminated it. So we shall see. But
they might just end up putting it under a different name. I'm not sure. But yeah, also, weirdness for our last episode on the rock and roll show, it took like
4 days. It took 4 days for the
hours to.
No, it was more than that. It was like it was at least 3 days. It took them to
Saturday, Sunday, Monday was Monday afternoon.
And I think these things are related. Yeah, it took them 3 or 4 days to finally put the show up on Spotify. So I don't know what's going on over at Spotify. Do you think they make enough money? I wonder. Anyway, so let's talk about the salad bar.
We love a good salad bar, don't we? Peppers and mushrooms and cherry tomatoes and 11 different dressing options to drown them in. Some of those grocery store salad bars can be downright intimidating. Basically, it's a cafeteria line that kicks off with some lettuce.
I like the ones where you get towards the end and there are items that you can't even identify. Wasabi roots and aloe leaves, tofu and edamame. Are we making a salad or building a hut for the natives here?
I do think the worst salad bar I ever went to was a little place in Berlin, Maryland, which is a very small town that we lived in outside of a resort area. And in Berlin, they said that the salad bar was free. It was like lettuce and maybe some tomatoes. It's like
you had two choices. Before I forget, so this week's sponsor is Accidental Cunnilingus Soda. What a nice surprise.
Very refreshing.
Anyway,
so back to lettuce.
Yes.
To be fair, the first people to consume lettuce were the ancient kings of Persia about 2,500 years ago.
They took a break from making carpets.
The word salad itself comes from the Latin herba salata, basically because you need the leaves and salty dressing just to make it palatable enough and not to feel like a cow.
Even if you run out of blue cheese, the key is to remain calm. Sorry.
In ancient Egypt, lettuce was thought to be an aphrodisiac. So you know where to take her for that first date now. Because most romances that start at a Ruby Tuesday tend to go the distance.
Oh, yeah. Plus, I swear they strategically put the most popular, best tasting stuff the furthest away, where you need like an arm 4 feet long to reach the bacon bits. I'm 3 croutons away from a hernia here, people.
And since it is by weight, they make those golf ball sized cherry tomatoes and manhole cover slabs of cucumber, as well as entire hard-boiled eggs easy to reach to achieve cost, weight, balance. Hey, this salad weighs the same as a 77 Pinto.
Interesting, yeah. They got to come up with some better names for some of this stuff. I thought ham wedges were some kind of pork-inspired golf clubs. 4, oink. Then once in a while, you get behind somebody at the salad bar that acts like they're working for the Department of Agriculture or something. They're inspecting the radishes, looking for serial numbers and getting out the odd magnifying glass to look at the lettuce leaves, squeezing the carrots. Lady, I got half an hour for lunch here. Can you head over towards the kale and file your report?
You know, the best way to scare these people is just grab a handful of remain with your bare hands. Come on. Who needs them? Wait till I get to the chocolate pudding. Sneeze guard my ass. I'm leaning in. Ever be the last one to the salad bar after the lunch hour is over?
Yeah.
You've got Parmesan mixed in with the ranch, beets in the sunflower seeds, croutons in the jello. And it looks like somebody may have left their dentures in the raspberry vinaigrette.
Mm.
Maybe I'll just go for a sandwich.
Yeah, that sounds wise to me. So let's shift gears a little bit. Talk about when I was a teenager, summer camp. Okay, so now my mom never had a job when we were growing up. In the summertime, all we wanted to do was go out back, play wiffle ball in the alley for hours or ride our bikes, right? But she, regardless, was constantly sending us away to camp. Anything to get rid of us for a few hours, right? Now, don't get me wrong. This wasn't like being sent away to camp, like going overnight to some exotic place. In poor white trash Baltimore, this meant dumping us off at some nearby rec center or church lot so we could do kickball and Bible studies. It didn't even matter like what the religion was being taught. Haitian voodoo prayer study, Episcopalian scripture and jewelry making, origami paper folding in the ways of the Shinto. Christ, we could have gone for our theology degrees at the age of 11.
The lunches were horrible at these camps. Always ham and processed cheese food on white bread and saran wrap. And they gave you one, those tiny little pack of mustard to keep it from being so dry, which quickly became the currency, kind of like cigarettes in prison. I would trade them for baseball cards, a little enterprise, and soon I had worked my way up to harder stuff like Golden's, Kraft mayonnaise. Grey Poupon? Call me the condiment pimp.
Ooh, Heinz ketchup. It's going to cost you your Johnny Bench. And you're going to have to give me 48 hours on that.
Once in a while, they'd come back with a Yoo-hoo, which was the greatest drink in the friggin' world back then. We all knew it wasn't milk, just some synthetic milk-adjacent concoction, but it was friggin' delicious.
I don't think I ever drank a Yoo-hoo in less than one gulp. I think it was like crack, gone. Like, I don't remember ever pausing. It was just like, ah. It was even better than accidental cunnilingus. No, it wasn't. Just kidding. Anyway, okay. Where were we? Okay. I remember this one camp that my parents sent us to. It was this pretty rough school. All the kids were bigger than me. They were always breaking out in fights. I was scared to death of the place. So when they pronounced Marchman wrong, I was afraid to correct them. So anyway, we went through 2 weeks of camp, and then at the end, we all got like certificates. Mine said, funniest camper, Mark Marchiani. Apparently, I became a paisan during my tenure there. Pass the ragu.
You know, I begged to go to sleepaway Girl Scout camp every summer. I pored over the brochure as each camp had a theme. Of course, being an animal lover, and thwarted a big no when I begged my dad for chickens, something about agricultural, not zoned for. I picked the farm camp division. This basically meant that my parents could pay money for me to sleep in an elevated platform tent in the woods with 4 of the girls, be a slave on a farm, shoveling cow shit and slopping pigs. I mean, what girl doesn't dream of this height of luxury?
Mm-hmm.
Since it was the first year I went, my mom bought me all new clothes and white canvas keds. First day there, the pig was so grateful for my lunch scrap offering, he expressed his joy by unleashing poo onto these white shoes. We chased ducks into kiddie pools, rode horses, so old their back was shaped like a saddle.
The horse was named Elmer's.
I was like, what's so hard about bareback? Why do they think this is hard? I just climb on. We took soiled hay from barn stalls, got covered in rabbit fuzz, and watched chicken lay eggs, which took a lot of pushing and much more time than I thought. My impression based on the cartoon I watched, where they just kind of sat and they popped out a dozen.
Yeah, the Looney Tunes is just like...
Didn't even blink. You know, this chicken was bent in half, basically with its head between its legs, straining and pushing for about 15 minutes to finally produce one perfect brown egg.
You did this to me, you son of a bitch!
By the time I got home, my mom opened my suitcase of clothes slathered in all manner of animal fluids, food, s'mores, melted chocolate, and dirt. And I think she just opted to set fire to the whole stinking mess that had sat festering and unlaundered in the heat of the summer for 2
I
weeks.
can imagine opening that up was probably very pleasant. Yeah.
Our feature interview this week is with Rob Wharton, mainstay guitarist of the New Jersey death metal band Cognitive. We have a great discussion with Rob about the history of the band, video game faux pas, and there might even, you're going to find this hard to believe, a relapse record geek out. So stay tuned for that. All right, let's play a Cognitive song. This is Abhorrence.
Okay, let's talk about Patreon. The site is patreon.com/Snaggletooth Podcast. And for $6.66 a month, you get a mind-numbing amount of Mark and Stace.
Yep, we've got reviews up there that we did not do on the show of many varied things. I mean, you can get everything from Yoko Ono to Zahn to butthole surfers.
Yeah, I just uploaded something new. It's a feature revisiting 2 classic albums. It's Rocket from the Crypt Circa Now, which I think came out in 92, and Dio Dream Evil. How do these albums hold up? Are they any good? How do they sound? You'll just have to log on to Patreon and check it out.
And we plan on going to some more shows. In fact, we've got some coming up. Tomb Mold for this show, Vanishing Kid for the rock and roll show,
Cognitive.
and Cognitive. We'll be seeing them in 2 weeks from today, actually.
I hope they have good beer there.
I don't know. Might have to do the
We may be
cruise thing again.
we may be smuggling, yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, yeah, maybe I better check out their selection.
Mhm.
But at any rate, supporting the show helps support again the musicians that we feature on the show, as well as keep the show going. Maybe one day we'll get Mark's fancy mixing board.
Plus,
we
it
can
pays
turn
for
things up.
fancy swag like this. Okay.
And if you do like us, you can go for a one-time donation or the smaller bite. So it's cost you less than a cup of coffee. Not asking much here, guys.
Absolutely, yeah. So, okay. So, let's talk about the teacher confiscating cool stuff.
You know, back in early grade school, it seemed like anything cool we brought in was confiscated and ended up in the dreaded teacher desk drawer lock.
Yeah.
God forbid we got bored about hearing of Arbor Day or George Washington's wooden teeth long enough to pull out a toy to make the time go faster.
All they had to do was notice like 2 heads looking down at something, and it would be, Mr. Marchman, bring that up here. Looking back, I always regretted that we didn't have like a live tarantula or something. We could just throw that on her and say, here you go, Sister Francine. His name is Sir Bites-A-Lot.
You know, I think if you had been called up and you presented her with a copy of the Forbes financial report, that would have been funny too. How am I supposed to do my stock options now, sister?
Take a look at that Dow Jones. Anyway, kids being kids, we would immediately forget whatever she'd confiscated, right? And then it wasn't until like the last week of school that she'd have to clean the drawer out. She'd make the announcement. So I get back my Spider-Man action figure, my silly putty, my pail of slime, assorted Nerf dart ammunition, my Rubik's Cube, my Def Leppard tape, my Monopoly board, my boxing gloves, and my alto saxophone, among other things. It's like Christmas Day all over again, right? But there was one sadistic thing all the freaking nuns did, right? Whenever they gave us back baseball cards, they had to throw them at us. So the cards would like go all over the floor, and we had to get on our hands and knees and back up, don't step on my Ken Singleton. They were sadistic bitches, man, I'll tell you.
I remember one of the girls brought in bubbles to school. Like the teacher wasn't going to notice. Suddenly it's Lawrence Welk show with the bubbles popping all over the place.
Whatever.
Maybe they figured that the teacher would assume that the cafeteria ladies were squeezing the dish soap too much, creating a naturally occurring bubble windfall.
There was no bubbles in that soap. It was flat as a doornail. Yeah.
Those glasses with the Google Spring eyes were great for about 30
They
seconds.
were designed to go in that drawer. Yeah. One time, a friend of mine had a bow tie in his pocket. It was like in his locker from a dance or something. So we started fiddling around with it. We were in the front row. And every time the teacher would turn around and run on the blackboard, we would pass the tie and put it on the next person. So by the time it got to like the fifth person, she just went, "Marchman, get out." And I wasn't even wearing the tie. I don't know. How did she know it was me anyway?
You know what I got?
I think I was wrongfully accused, rightfully.
Taxation without representation or some such shit.
Something like that.
Yeah. Guilty before proven innocent.
Yeah.
Something. I got in trouble one time. Remember those Chinese finger traps?
Mhm.
Somebody gave me one and I promptly got my fingers stuck
Yeah, yeah.
and I couldn't get them out.
You can't. No, I mean.
And I was panicking and then they called me up to turn it in and I'm like, I can't.
Remember that one episode of the Gene Simmons show where he's hanging out with Carrot Top and somehow there's crazy glue and dildos. He gets a dildo crazy glue to his hand and then he has to go speak at a wedding or something.
That
He's
sounds-
I forget it. It's crazy. But anyway, that show was actually pretty funny early on. But we didn't talk about toothpaste yet.
You know, so toothpaste, it's older than you might think. And you might have guessed it was not invented by the English.
Not with those bad teeth.
English teeth.
No,
Also a good band.
also good band.
The Egyptians, ever on the cutting edge of triangular architecture, creative use of scarab beetles. And now, quite possibly, the originators of oral hygiene.
Okay.
You may appreciate your tartar control crest a little more if you think about the ancient Egyptian secret blend of, get this, burnt eggshells. Why burnt? Pumice, fried iris flour for a gritty sandblaster tooth cleaner.
Yuck.
Thanks. My teeth are clean now, but my gums are bleeding and, I need to vomit. I'm pretty sure whatever that crunchy shit my dentist uses is the same recipe, ancient Egyptian secret. Eventually, they did add mint and salt to make it palatable.
One time, the dentist asked me, or the hygienist said, "What flavor toothpaste do you want?" And I said, "Do you have IPA?" They need to invent that shit. Mummies have actually been found in their coffins with toothpicks
True story.
because you don't want to be without one in case you get a hold of some nifty kettle popcorn in the afterlife. Apparently, this is a problem. Romans used oyster shells, which clean teeth, but brought about the dead fish breath stigma. So they tried adding bark for flavor. This is where the term "bark is worse than his bite" came from. It's okay. His Tibetan spruce is worse than his bite. Okay, this is another cognitive song because we must be stopped. This is Insidious. Okay, let's talk about Coffee AM.
Coffee AM is our sponsor this week. We ourselves have been longtime customers. They are an online coffee company out of Georgia. So it's easy to remember, Coffee AM. Hop over to their website. They have flavored coffees. They have fair trade coffees, micro lots. They even have super fancy like Kona coffees. I don't think they had the cat poop coffee.
Mm-mm.
But we get our coffee from them. In fact, we just got some new flavors. I have a chocolate raspberry coffee. We get ours drip grind, but you can get it French press. If you like to, do your own bean grinding, you can get it whole bean. There's a drop down for everything. Most of them available in decaf as well. I don't know why, but if you have a health condition, a lot of this stuff is available in decaf. The great thing about this company is they actually will roast your coffee the day you order it, and then they FedEx it out to you. Ours says Mark and Stace right on the label. You can have Mark and Stace or whatever you want on your own label. We also have a Heavenly Cream coffee. This is a new flavor for us. They always have seasonal stuff like Christmas blends, and we just got done summer blend and a great Costa Rica Reserve coffee, which we're working through right now. So use our link, hop over. It will save you off your first order, and you too can get coffee roasted especially for you and FedEx to your door.
Have you seen it? There's a hilarious commercial for this coffee company, and there's this. It looks like they're in Peru or something, and there's these two kids, and they're walking along the coffee plants, and they walk up to one of the guys that works there, and they say, "Where do you have the birthday cake coffee? That's my flavor that I want." And then, like, he just looks at the camera. He's like, "Well, we don't make birthday cake coffee. We do grow some of the finest beans that you'll find in the market or whatever." And then at the end, the guy goes, "Could we get a manager?" It's hysterical. I'm telling you, all the good comedy has gone to commercials, I think. So anyway, okay, so it is time for Wax of Contrition. But first, this is a really good but first, okay? You thought Kleenex was something? Okay. Spider-Man, rock reflections of a superhero. Now, as a diehard fan of early Crack the Sky records, I somehow stumbled upon this little gem in the early 2000s. I found out there was a long lost bonus track from Crack the Sky called Dr. Octopus. And I'll play that for you in a minute. But, and of course, I've always maintained that John Palumbo and crew, Crack the Sky, they would have been bigger than the friggin' Dixie Cup if they had signed to any other label but Lifesong. The New York-based label was responsible for most of the Jim Croce catalog and supporting various members of the Manhattan Transfer. Hardly the perfect home for a Beatles-obsessed prog rock juggernaut like Crack the Sky.
We heard Crack the Sky cover at Dooten Festival.
Yep.
In their wisdom, Lifesong decided to release this oddball little tribute to the Webhead in 1975. The Crack the Sky song is a keeper, but the rest of it is some of the cheesiest, binge-inducing, three-dog night light fare you're ever likely to hear. All of it interspersed with Stan Lee's completely unnecessary narration.
It's so great.
I'm convinced there were just a bunch of extras from Eddie Rabbitt's band hanging around the studio, and somebody convinced them to put this train wreck together.
Okay, we'll play some highlights here. So, first of all, check out a few seconds of the caterwauling attempt at Blue-Eyed Soul that is No One's Got a Crush on Peter by Terry Minogue and Ray Stevens. I can just picture this as a theme song to some terrible 70s sitcoms.
All right, wait, there's more. Now how much would you pay? How about the shrieking doo-wop of Gwendolyn, complete with enough shooty boos to make Frankie Valli hemorrhage?
This is so new to me. Won't you explain? Please, I want to know.
Okay, we're at the top. Okay, we're at the top of the mountain now. The faux jazz shuffle that is Square Boy, you gotta get cool. It's a track that culminates with a big brassy oohs and ahs by Jeannie Saxon. She's best known for her performance on, are you ready? Elmo's favorite sing-along songs in 1995.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's hear a little of that.
Peter was a boy, an average all-American U.S. male, minding his own business in this crazy world, but the world wouldn't leave well enough alone. He had some problems with the girls. He didn't quite know how to strike up a conversation. No, we couldn't communicate with the feminine nation. Oh, in summation, you could say he was an egghead. But then one...
Shocking. Needless to say, this little curiosity is just the type of album to clear the room when those pesky partygoers are ignoring Last Call. The fact that it was reissued by Castle Music in the early 2000s is beyond baffling. But anyway, here's Dr. Octopus by Crack the Sky.
I told you this would happen. I knew it would.
Okay. Sadly, can't say enough good about. Look at that.
Oh my God. I think this also might keep mosquitoes away.
Anyway, time for wax of contrition, and this week we are featuring Pig Destroyer's awesome Phantom Limb album.
Not sure how to effectively describe Pig Destroyer's Prowler in the Yard. Was it a reboot of grindcore or just death metal for the ADHD generation? By the late 90s, quality flash burning firecrackers with 1 to 2 minute exercise and animalistic rage seemed a distant memory. In fact, after playing Assuk's Misery Index for everyone I ever met,
Great album.
I kind of forgot about the stuff. But the freaks that ran Relapse were in the zone, pushing the envelope with one remarkable release after another, stretching the definition of extreme music for the sick and depraved to new levels. And that marvelous display of face-kicking rage from Scott Hall, +2, stands as one of the label's crown jewels.
2007's Phantom Limb continues the great work that Hall achieved on the second album, Terrifier. Longer songs that still excite and bring the violence. But something about this album just feels heavier than anything they've ever done. The problem with a lot of grindcore is that it sort of loses potency after 5 songs. No matter how many O-rings the singer pops, no matter how ridiculous the drummer plays, and no matter how many politicians' heads are lyrically decapitated. Somehow, Scott Hall navigates around this problem by pulling back on the speed at just the right times, hard panning the riffs, doubling the guitars, and putting in buzzing solos from one channel to another. He pushes drummer Brian Harvey to the brink of madness with off-kilter stops, starts, and blasts, tempered by loose limb rolls that link all the biting and fighting together. So here's an example. This song is called 4th Degree Burns. Okay, continuing on.
There's something about Hall's knack for mid-tempo chug that separates this band from so many others. Honestly, the fast parts are okay, but it's when he comes slicing back with that in-your-face pit churner that the true colors of this album really shine. Just listen to Loathsome, which bounces along on a Slayer-informed crunch and then deceptively gears up for what seems like a blast of speed after a minute, only to sidestep into either a groovier, heavier rush to the cranium, with Harvey's flashy stick work front and center for a full 4 minutes. If you want speed, Alexandria has got it, blasting out of the blocks from the very first note with uncanny rage and rancor, settling into perhaps the disc's best frigging riff around the 1.5 minute mark. Another death by mosh pit masterpiece.
As grindcore bands go, discussions always seem to center around early Napalm and Carcass, which I guess is fair, but the consistency of Pig Destroyer is something that we can't help but acknowledge. Long live Scott Hall and his band of miscreants.
This is Alexandria.
Okay, you want to introduce the interview?
This is our interview with Rob of Cognitive. So we do kind of an in-depth from the beginning of the band, as well as a few side discussions, which we seem prone to do. Really loved meeting him. What a great guy. We will be seeing them in 2 weeks right here in Baltimore. Can't wait to hang out and hear some more about Cognitive.
He's an expert in shout-outs. Anyway,
Well, so excited to get to talk to you. What an incredible album this is. Really, really good. And I love the name.
You don't mean our album, right? You meant someone else.
No.
yeah.
No, in fact, it's kind of nice to listen to. We just got done the Maryland Doom Fest. So after like 2 straight days of that, it's glad to have
We went to MDF, and then 2 weeks later was like the Maryland Doom Fest, which is all like like 100 doom metal bands from Maryland and Ohio and PA and stuff. So
I mean, it was
Maryland.
good, but by the end of the weekend, you were like, oh, something with some speed.
Dude, it gets any fest after like 2 days, you start being like, what the hell did I get myself into? This is so long, my feet hurt. Oh,
yeah, there's a lot of walking and there's a lot of like climbing up, into garages and stuff. Yeah. So
Maryland Death Fest is incredible though, man. Hats off to that crew for making that happen like they do every year. It's something else.
it is. We try to never miss it, except the one year they didn't have it, but they had this thing called Hell in the Harbor instead, which was.
Yeah, I went to that.
Oh, you went to that? Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
that
went
was
to
pretty
that,
good.
and I went to the last Maryland Death Fest that he had before he took the break, and that was super sick. I was glad I got to go to that. I've been to two of them. We played one. We played the one where Cryptopsy did None So Vile in its
Oh, yeah.
entirety. I
Yeah.
think that was 2017, and then I went to that one, and then now I just with work I can't always go to stuff I want to do.
Oh, no, I guess not. No. Ugh.
So tell me about how you guys came together at the beginning and what kind of your original vision was for what cognitive would be.
So I had started the band with our original guitar player Jake, and my buddy Mike Castro was the drummer, and it was just like, yo, like let's just write what we like, and kind of like to me, like I always liked like what Between the Bury Me did, kind of older stuff, what Cephalic Carnage did. I was like, I don't want to just do one thing. I've known Jake since I was born. Actually, my parents went to high school with his parents, so like.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, he's actually the reason I kind of got into playing guitar when I was younger because he was in a band already. But yeah, we just set out to do. I still feel like we do what we always set out to do. It's just you get older and better at certain things. I feel like maturing, but it sucks. We've had a lot of lineup changes. I mean, it's mostly been stable and consistent for the past couple of years, but just touring and stuff, it's not for everyone. It's not exactly paying all the bills all the time. So.
Yep.
We're friends with everyone that's ever been in the band, so which has been cool. But as we all get older and stuff, I feel like we just got better at songwriting sometimes instead of just being all over the place. I feel like if you compare the earlier stuff to now, you see the progression.
Yeah.
So how did you originally come up with the concept of naming it cognitive, which is kind of like, perception and mental things?
Yeah, it was just always like, I didn't want to have like a super crazy brutal name. And our original logo was pretty much just a font. Because like I feel like branding is important and being able to read a logo is important. Fast forward to bands like Sangwa Sugarbog proved me wrong.
Yeah.
Love them guys. Shout out to them. But yeah, that proved me wrong. I was like, whoa, good for them. But it was just a name I had shot out, dude, it's so hard to come up with band names that's either not taken or it's just over the top ridiculous. I was like, yo, like we're always trying to be like forward thinking and do different stuff or combine a lot of stuff, like thinking cognitive. We went with that.
The two words together.
But no, it was just cognitive. We were just like, yeah, it just sounds cool. Like we're always thinking about being a forward thinking band. So why not just kind of go with cognitive, which is like your thinking and thought process.
Yeah, it's heavy and intelligent, but it doesn't pigeonhole you into any particular type of.
Yeah, I didn't want to be like Shit Bath or something like that, where people are like, yo, did you go see Shit Bath this weekend? And everyone's like, oh, I know what they sound like already.
Iron Horseshoe, yeah.
Yeah,
I know what that's going to sound like.
Yeah, I just didn't want to do that.
We got a local opener here. I always think their names, it's called Cemetery Piss. And all I can see every time is like some guy peeing on a tombstone. I'm like, really? Cemetery?
Are you guys from Maryland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, because I see that name around a lot.
Yeah, there's them and there's another band called Total Maniac. And I think that they're just like, they must do the accounting for every local bar or
They
something.
open for everyone made of molecules.
Yeah, so I mean, they must have an in because they're neither band is very good, but they seem to open up every show. So
Yeah, the singer for Tonal Maniac has a way, like he'll announce a couple times in the stage that after the set he's gonna be in the bathroom waiting for a rock and roll queen. I'm like, you're gonna be waiting a while.
Ooh.
especially because you consider the bathroom in this
Aren't
venue
we
is like
all waiting a while though?
The bathroom in this venue is like a phone booth. I mean, there's not a lot of room for action anyway. So, you know.
And he's kind of like, he kind of looks like Santa Claus. He's got, big gray beard, big tummy, just a vest on. I'm like, no, dude.
Yeah, he's one of these
peak male performance, to be
Yeah,
honest.
he's one of these guys that you're like, dude, keep your shirt on. Okay. We don't need to see it, Yeah.
Oh, I
Hey.
love it. Well, I like how your style has changed a little bit from deathcore to becoming like more technical death metal with adding all these melodic elements, harmonies. What are kind of the factors that kind of inspired you to shift that way? Which is good, by the way.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's funny because like when we started out, I thought we were like just like a techie slam band, and then I've never pigeoned this hole in anything. So like when people like you sound like this or that, like I like hearing everyone just pick different genres because like I feel like we incorporate it all. But like the new record, like it was just like, yo, like why don't we like repeat parts and come back to parts more, which is like something we kind of dabbled in on the last record.
Right.
But this one, it was like, yo, let's like really like do songwriting and take our time. Cause like when Metal Blade picked us up, I was like, this has to be good. We can't fuck this up. I don't want Daddy Brian Schlegel getting mad at us.
So, I was going to ask you about that. Like, what was that like? How did you move from, I guess you were indie before and then you went to Metal Blade or what?
No, it was, we were on like a smaller label. Then we went to Unique Leader. And then when our Unique Leader contract expired, we had started talking to Metal Blade, and it was like, whoa, this is crazy. So then when we got hit up, it was like, all right, well, we got to start writing a record and like take our time with it. And then we did like one melodic singing part on the last record. And then on this record, we were like, yeah, we should try and do that more if it fits. I didn't want to force anything. I told everyone, I said, yo, nothing should be forced. Like, let's really take our time. And like, we were hard on everyone. Yo, that ref stinks. Your drum fill stinks. Your bass line stinks. Your vocals stink.
That's good. Yeah.
We stink. Like,
Yeah.
but I think it paid off.
Deodorant.
Yeah. What's the scene like now? What are some of your favorite bands to play with in the I guess the South Jersey scene?
Yeah, I mean, well, we consider ourselves like a Philly band because like that's like the spot, like where it's pretty much hometown. South Jersey, I feel like had a strong scene for a while, but just like people from South Jersey will go to a show in Philly because a lot of people drive, but people in Philly, a lot of people don't drive because it's like New York City. You can just Uber, take a train, mass transportation. There's nowhere to get to South Jersey, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it doesn't make sense. So I feel like that kind of always hurts South Jersey for the most part, unless there was like something really special people come out to. But Philly, the Philly area is awesome. I mean, North Jersey's sick too, but like we've got Half. We love them guys. Replicant.
Oh,
I don't know if you heard that last Replicant album. It's awesome. Just trying to think. Dark Waters End, super special from our area. Fit for an Autopsy, our friends, they fucking kill it. I mean, there's legendary bands from our area. I mean, dude, Jesus Piece is popping off right now. We saw them
at Hell in the Harbor, I think.
So did I. I thought they were the best band of the whole fest, to be honest. I thought they blew the fucking roof off the place, but love them guys. I mean, we got legendary bands. I mean, you're talking like Jersey, Philly, like Dillinger Escape Plan, Hate Eternal, Dim Mac. Like, just so, God forbid, we're playing with them in New York in September. Like, I personally think we have like a very sick scene around here.
That's great. Yeah.
I love the name.
Lorna Shore from Jersey. Look where they're at now.
Yeah.
So it's not all Jim Laundry Tan.
No. No.
I hated that show so bad. My daughter used to watch it, and I used to feel like I had to watch it with her just for parental guidance. And I'm like, are we really? Okay.
Right. Well, that's also when Joe Flacco was our quarterback, and he helped us sort of understand what it was like coming from there, because I think he's from that part of the world.
Yeah, Joe Flacco is from the town that I live in.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we go to the bar up the street and guys are like, oh yeah, did you see the Flaccos? No, that's this and that. And like, it was awesome rooting for him this past season with the Browns. It was really cool.
Yeah, that he came back and all. Yeah, and the thing with him is like in the early days, you watched the commercials were terrible, but you could tell they coached him up, because by the time he got to the end of his career, he actually looked better on camera. And he was doing endorsements and
dude, I have
awkward.
nothing but good things to say about him and like watching all that happen. I mean, obviously, go Birds, fly Eagles, fly, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a Flyers fan because we don't have a hockey team here in Baltimore, so
Yep.
we
Yep.
hit up there quite frequently.
Well,
Yeah.
that was a miracle we just had happen this past season, getting as far as we did.
Wow.
Yeah, I've always loved going up to Philly. We would much rather go to like the Trocadero than go down to DC if we have to, if the band skips Baltimore, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and you know we would go up there and there was I don't know if it's still there, probably not, but that huge relapse store used to be in downtown Philly.
Oh, relapse.
I
Yeah. The
I
relapse store
love
on
that.
South Street.
I
Yeah, that was awesome.
I would just spend my whole check there.
Dude, that was super special. Dude, relapse in the early 2000s
Oh yeah.
was like was so impactful to me and like one of my best friends. Like me and him, like to me, that was the golden era of death metal to me. Like Cephalic Carnage, Origin, Nile,
Everything
Dying
everybody
Fetus,
grades was on that
Dillinger,
label.
Mastodon, all that was on there. It was just
Today
like
is the day. I mean, just everything.
Suffocation.
Yeah.
Suffocation was on. Oh
Suffocation.
my God. Like that label was like that era specifically right then and there was just like Burnt by the Sun, another Jersey band. All them bands were on there. It was just like ridiculous.
I know, crazy. I think they had Neurosis for a while too, I think.
Yeah, Neurosis.
Yeah.
I can't remember all that, but that era, just that time period of relapse was like insane to me.
Crazy. I know.
So getting back to you guys, I love abhorrence. That's just such a 50-cent word. What things do you personally find most abhorrent in this world?
Everyone and everything. I think the way I tell people this every time they talk about it, I'm like, dude, like I don't like the way people treat each other and talk to each other anymore. Like I just think like everyone's like rude. I think it's just like it's impossible to be perfect, but it's not hard to try and be a half decent person. So I like turn it on the news.
I thought you were going to say bad conveyor belt maintenance.
Oh, well, that sucks too. But turn it on the news is like the most depressing shit ever. Like I can't do any of it. It gives me anxiety. I don't even fucking do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Good.
work with the public. You know, I work for a doctor, and just the stuff that comes through there on a daily basis is mind shattering.
Oh, I couldn't work in healthcare. God bless you. One of my best friends is a nurse, and like I'm like, dude, like I can't do it.
No,
Watching
the
people
story she
sick
tells
and
me. I can't believe how stupid people are. Just the story she tells me. Crazy.
People who come in that obviously have pooed themselves, and you can't be like, "Hi, you smell. Get out." You know, you just have to freaking deal with it. Like,
Yeah. I wouldn't trade jobs with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I agree with you on that part. So, who created that great cover art? It almost looks like all those hands are reaching for the deity.
It's my favorite cover art for you guys so far.
it's mine too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Pedro Cena, Lordigan Art. He did the last 2 records. This is the 3rd record he did for us in a row. I trust that guy with my life with his ideas. We didn't even tell him what we wanted. We did that with the last record too. We were like, draw what you want. He sent us some stuff. I was like, can you try and make it a little bit different than that and go this direction? And then he did his take on it. I was like, that's sick.
Yeah.
I just told him some colors to use because I was like, these ones were all these colors. So I'd like to try and do this. And he knocked it out of the park.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really eye catching too, like with all that pink up the top and.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm proud of it. I love that guy.
So you got a new bass drummer in 2019, I guess around the same time. So how did you come to work with Tyler and AJ?
AJ, we've known for a while just from playing in other bands. He's got a band at that time called Ophidius, and he was awesome. And he had just started Half as well, and he had recorded us. And I was like, "Yo, like, do you want to do drums for us?" He was like, "Yeah, like I can't tour all the time with you guys, but like, I'm down to help out." And Tyler had been in bands too in the area, and we were just like, "Yo, do you want to try it?" Well, actually, what happens? He filled in for us. I was like, "Yo, this dude's like really fucking good."
Yeah.
So when our bass player had left, I was like, "All right, well, let's see how Tyler does on this tour." He killed it. I was like, "Yo, is this something you want to do?" And he was like, "Yeah."
That's awesome.
So it all just worked out. Like it sucks not always being able to have AJ there, but he's a fucking awesome guy. I love him. He's super funny, and he's really helpful. Like he runs the studio that we record at and everything. So he's helpful. And he's a hell of a drummer.
Yep.
I noticed most of your titles were one word, except for the really long "For Malevolent Thought of Hastened Extinction." What led you to the departure on that title there? I like it. It's just like everything else is literally one word.
Yeah, well, that's why, because everything else was one word, 2 syllables, 3 syllables, and I was like, "No, let's go for a long one." And then this time I was like, let's get back to like a single word if we can.
So you were writing while you were on tour for the Malevolent one. Was the writing process a little different writing on tour as opposed to, pandemic when you were home?
Not really. It was just, I mean, the pandemic, we had nothing but time on our hands, but it was definitely interesting being like we wouldn't have guitars in our hand on tour writing, but it would be like listening to the songs and be like, oh, we got to get rid of this, we got to get rid of that. Or I had this vocal idea, or maybe we could repeat this part, and it was just like, all right, then we come home and we had 2 months off. Let's hit it. Okay, let's go out on tour. Okay, let's get back home and work on it.
Yeah, that's probably actually a good place, because you're stuck together anyway, right?
Well, that's how we were looking at it sometimes, is we're all together. Let's get it done.
So the song Insidious, I'm guessing it's about some kind of addiction.
Yes.
Is it based on some true event, or is it just kind of a general thing? Or?
It's funny because like the last record had a song that like I had actually written about addiction. This one Shane did, but like I guess you can kind of call it true event, but I mean, like, who doesn't have that true event in their lives? Like, someone's always got, no one in our band has like super battled with anything like that, but all of us have been surrounded by somebody that has. So
yeah.
it's a hard thing to deal with, like just watching.
Yeah, I have a relative, I think, who's just professionally in rehab, and he's always going to get better, and then he's back in another one. It's just like, I don't think
I'm always rooting for people, man. Like,
Yeah.
I always root for people to get their lives together and just be okay, because like it's hard to watch.
Oh yeah.
It's so hard.
I am always cheering someone on about that stuff.
Yeah.
And you always have hope, that this time, and then I hear he's working at Taco Bell. I'm like, shit, this isn't gonna work. God. So we had kind of a couple track questions. So A Pact Unholy, I like. It almost sounds like a demon summoning type. Did any book or movie inspire this?
Shane had wrote it about like a necromancer, like bringing demons to life out of blood and back to life and all that stuff. Because he's like a big like Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons nerd.
Cool.
So he had written that one.
Yeah, you can definitely feel that in the song. It's kind of got its creepy edges.
Yeah.
I love Shane's delivery too. He's got this wild
He's
mix.
incredible. He's incredible.
Sometimes he always reminds me of like a grindcore delivery, but then he'll change it up to like a death metal, and then the clean stuff. Oh wow, it's just wild how he can just float one to the other.
Yeah, he pushed himself on the record. We pushed him. We were very hard on him. I think it paid off, and he delivered.
Yeah, it turned out great.
Yeah, I like that one a lot too. So do you think your songwriting process has changed a lot since you started with the Horrid Swarm, or has it stayed basically the same?
I think moving forward from this record, I think like we kind of hit like what we want to do, and it's just about finding ways to do this better without being redundant, I think.
Yeah, the guitar work is so good on these, like the guitar intro for As the Light Fades. Did you write that first, or did it come later? That's such a neat piece in that.
You want to hear the interesting thing? Shane wrote that whole song on guitars.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Harry wrote the solos and all, but Shane wrote all the guitars on it.
And Mark was really a big fan, I think, of the lunar psychopathy, the shift where we kind of shift into gears to those harmonies and then back. It's really quite impactful.
That was the first song written for the record.
Wow.
Yeah, I love the harmonies. Yeah.
That was the first song written for the record, and the second song was that single we put out, Rod Eternal, before we put this record out. We were like, yeah, why don't we put Rod Eternal out as like a standalone?
Yeah.
So was there a track that was inspired by a video game? Because I couldn't figure out which one it was.
Last record had a song, 2 songs on it that were inspired by a video game. This one, I don't remember the game it was because it wasn't something I had ever played, but Shane had written Containment Breach about a video game, but I don't remember what the video game was. And I'm a video game nerd, and I had never heard of it.
Okay. What do you play a lot?
Nothing now with this job, but I'm like super into just like everything. Like I can play as long as it's single player. I used to be really into multiplayer, but I don't have the time to like devote and sit home and get like good and go online unless
Yeah.
it's like a fighting game. Like Call of Duty, like it just takes so much practice to be like know all the levels all the time. And I used to be like that. I was super into Call of Duty for a while and Battlefield. I just don't have the time anymore. So like when I come home, I want to play single player games with like storylines. It's just like leave me alone. It's like playing a movie.
Right. Right.
Have you ever done those online things like World of Warcraft where you get on, you play with other people and
I haven't done the big like massive online RPGs, but like obviously people love them. People love that stuff. But that's another thing. It's like, okay, I got to make sure I'm home to do by 7 o'clock to do my raid. And like, I can't do that. I can't commit to
Right.
it.
Yeah.
yeah, I had a boyfriend who was super into that, so I tried to be just, so we could so he could be at his place and I could be at my place and we'd do it, But the one night I decided to get on by myself and it was kind of late and I think I had a glass of wine or two and somebody invited me to a dungeon raid and I was the healer and I think my reflexes were a little slow and they kicked me out.
Oh, you made everyone die. What the fuck?
I was like, sorry.
You made everyone lose their loot? What the fuck?
So I
See,
learned very quickly, no wine. And
no wine with the video
Oh.
games. No.
You got to stick to energy drinks.
Yeah. So for the video for abhorrence, I'm watching it and I'm thinking, where'd they get a school bus?
Yeah, there's a scene where it's like in an empty bus.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I
So
thought it was,
there's so many funny stories, and what you just said kind of is funny. So they're not in a bus; it's a train. He's on a train.
oh, okay. It's a
Yeah,
train,
yeah, that's a
okay.
train. So they went to the train station. However, we have a bus that we own. That's our touring vehicle. We used to have like a small mini school bus, and we
Okay.
upgraded to an old age home bus with like the lift in the
Ah.
back and all that.
That's probably a lot more comfortable though. Yeah.
Oh man, we got bunks in there, everything. It's awesome.
That's cool. That's cool.
But yeah, the abhorrence video was super fun to film.
I love all the squiggly lines. It kind of looks like a little.
It's so funny because some people are like, this was a cool idea. Shame AI created it and it wasn't made by AI. A buddy of ours did like all of them drawings, all the squiggly lines, all by hand.
Wow.
Oh, and it sucks because like I don't sit there and jump down people's throats about AI. I'm not team AI. I'm not into it.
Yeah.
I do think it's fascinating some of the stuff that it comes up with though. It's you're like, wow, that looks cool.
Yeah.
But I think it sucks that now if you have something cool looking, people automatically think it's AI and
Sure,
it like
yeah.
really like and you can you can't even blame AI for that. You gotta blame people just jumping to conclusions about that because that's their choice to come up with that conclusion. And it sucks because this dude worked really hard on that video.
There's a big disclaimer. I didn't even tell you this on the front of Metal Archives about accepting AI generated metal bands.
Music, yeah.
Apparently,
Yeah.
there's so many. I guess you just say, write me a song in the style of early Burzum or something like that, and then you just sing over it. And Metal Archives wrote this long thing about we will do everything we can to research and make sure that your music is made
I
by
respect
humans.
that. I do because like you're just taking the like I understand like the idea of like AI can create this stuff, but like there's no emotion or passion in it
Right,
because
right.
it's just emulating something that has been done that was created with heart and passion and all. So, but I'm not going to dog bands. Like I've seen people screaming on the internet about bands using AI art, and I'm also like, dude, like if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. Like I don't like. I just got better things to waste my energy on. than,
I
like,
haven't seen
scream.
I haven't seen any AI art that's better than
No.
a really good Instagram artist. I mean, I haven't really seen anything that I've thought was better
I haven't
than
seen anything
you know,
like that, but like
like
I've
you like
seen
your latest album cover. I don't see AI making something like that. I mean, you know.
Well, we posted up the making of it, of the guy drawing it. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yo, like, in case anyone thinks that's AI, like, the dude fucking drew it. No one criticized that. Someone thought our Lawrence video was, and I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. For a while, like if we were doing like a promotional, get your attention picture, he would green screen it. We were like putting ourselves in the space shuttle and he'd prompt with it
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
forever. Tidal wave behind us. Now on Instagram, you could do that AI button and I could just have a picture of us here and like put like bulls behind us, like we're running in it.
Yeah, yeah.
That
I
is
mean,
so
like, that sounds cool. Like, that's what I said. Like, I don't think it's like, terrible. I just think that there's like, listen, I guess it's like anything. There's benefits and downsides.
Yeah.
You know,
it is.
Yeah, I mean, even the stupid AI DJ on Spotify, for a while I thought it was funny, but he gets just really repetitive on me. He throws me the same stuff, and I'm like, yeah, go lay down. I'll pick my own.
What I always say is, an AI DJ does not know that after, what is it, Heartbreaker comes Livin' Lovin' Made. You have to have 2 songs back to back. After, what's it, Waiting for the Bus is Jesus Just Left Chicago. Like, AI does not understand that. So when that ZZ Top song ends and you don't get the second song, you're like, all right, you're fired.
like I think it's fascinating, and I do think it's fascinating. Like, you can get artwork for basically free or cheap doing it that way, and people
Right.
just like, I believe in paying an artist to make it, obviously, but like, dude, like people also forget, especially with death metal, you're not making a ton of fucking money. I'm not saying bands don't make money. I would never say that. I'm actually on team like, yo, some bands do make a living and you got to work hard and you earn it, and the bands should make money. But some of these bands aren't making a ton of money and you get a budget and you're like, well, we can cut a corner there. I'm not, like I said, I'm not team AI.
Right.
I was fine with spending money this record and every record to get cool artwork. I
Yeah.
am super I like having hand drawn stuff or painted stuff or hand digitally, whatever. But I just don't have a dog. Like, I just don't have the energy to dog people like I used to.
And there's
As I get older
probably
and grumpier and tired, I'm like, oh man, I don't know.
there's probably scams too, where you think you're like guys are thinking that they're paying for actual art and somebody's AI in it, and then
I've seen it already. I've seen
I
that
bet
before
you.
too. I'm just like, wow,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah. So, well, we play a game on the show, so I think you'll enjoy this. It's called Blaspheming Monikers. Okay. So the way it works is there's 5 band names in front of me. One I made up. So you get to guess which one of these is a fake band name. Okay.
Go for it.
Okay. First is Evil Epitome. Second is Evil Flesh. Third is Evil Entourage. Fourth, Evil Shrine. And fifth, Evil Cosby.
What's the last one?
Evil Cosby.
I'm going with Evil Epitome for some reason.
No, they're real. They're death metal from LA. They only have 1 EP from 09, but they're real.
Yeah, that's the only that's my favorite one, dude. That's always the safe bet. You're like, I like the first EP. Everything after it sucks, dude. I like the
All
demo.
right, so that leaves Evil Flesh, Evil Entourage, Evil Shrine, and Evil Cosby.
I'm not going with Evil Cosby. That's too obvious to like it. No, there's no way. Evil Shrine.
Very good. Yeah, that's one I made up. Yeah. Evil
Okay.
Cosby is real sludge metal from Italy, and they have like 4 albums.
That's why I was saying, like, when you hear a name like that, you're like, that's gotta be fake. And
So
because I know
specific.
my death metal, I'm like, no, it's real. There's no way it's
Yeah.
not real.
I don't know. I don't know how far they're going with that name, but
Like, wow,
yeah.
did they mean Bill Cosby?
I don't know what else could they mean.
I don't know. I guess.
Anyway, so
Maybe they like to slip each other Mickeys. I don't know.
I don't know.
All right, so I did have one question about Savor the Suffering. Does someone throw up at the end of that?
No, that's Shane doing his best. I think getting cut up by a chainsaw and slit throat impression.
Okay.
Can't use like
We knew
real
something was
you
going
can't
on
use samples and stuff like that because of copyright, but we have to make them ourselves.
I really like the fact that you went with, the fact that you're cognitive, that you went with Rorschach, the blots and all that stuff. It's like the most outrageous thing. Mental health is such a fragile thing, and yet it's the most controversial treatments. Like, even that's controversial. Lobotomies are controversial, electric shock therapy.
Yeah, it's so I definitely struggle with like major depression and anxiety. I think it's fascinating because like everyone's mind's different. There's no just this is how it is. This is how it is. And it's not just your mind. It's the way everyone handles things are different. So like what might work for one person doesn't work for the other person, and vice versa. So like, and I do believe in like taking care of yourself and like, having the responsibility to be like, hey, I have to do something about this to make it better, because like no one else can help you with that. Like, you're the only one that knows what's going on up here. You don't have, you're not gonna be able to fix it on your own, but you can go get help some way or another. And that's sometimes easier said than done too.
I
But
think
it's
you-
fascinating when you start talking about treatment and stuff like that, how like there's so many different doors to walk through to at least with decent coping skills or, treatments and stuff.
Yeah, I was watching this comedian one time, and he had some severe issues. He had to be checked in somewhere, and he said, "Forget everything you've heard about electric shock therapy. It was awesome. I looked forward to it every day." He said, "It's not like Frankenstein anymore. It was the greatest. It was so calming." So right there, I was like, "All right, I don't know anything about this. Everything I know is, yeah." I didn't expect to hear that, you know.
Dude, I tell you what, I had cut back on caffeine and that was like a big thing for me.
You know,
Yeah, it's tough, the little things, We're runners. That's I love to run and listen to metal, and then you know what? I don't care about
Well, I ain't
anything.
running from shit, brother. No, I was jogging for a while. I've got a really bad knee and I'm trying to get back into it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Interesting.
tough. I think I'm better running. I used to take this dance class, and I would periodically just hurt myself to no end. Landing a jump I did 48 other times. I'm like, ow! It was really.
With-
I stopped
With
doing it after
dancing was
about
a
10
lot.
years.
Dancing was a lot more dangerous for you than running. Yeah, it seemed like it. Yeah.
So looks like you guys are set up to play the Metal Injection Festival in New York in September. So what might a set list look like for you guys?
We haven't figured that out yet. We just picked out, we just set the set list for our tour in July. I just was like, yo, guys, this is set list. Everyone's like, okay, I'll get practicing it now. But we haven't gotten that far yet, so I can't make any promises.
Do you know what you're most looking forward to checking out while you're there?
I'm still waiting to see which bands are playing which day. God Forbid was super special to me growing up. They were one of my favorite bands. I actually did a paper in college about them. So seeing them do a Gone Forever set's going to be awesome. Even though I grew up with Reject the Sickness and Determination, I still liked Gone Forever a lot. I definitely, if they're playing that day, I want to see Converge. Cave In would be cool too. I'm sure I'm going to be missing, because that night when we're done playing, we have to drive 12 hours to start our tour. We got to go to Canada overnight to meet up with Benighted to do our Canadian tour.
Wow.
Well, I know you'll be by us. I think is it end of July? You'll be at the Shamrock.
Yeah. With Dysentery and Atre Billis. Come out.
That's a Saturday.
We'll go to that. We'll be there. Yeah.
Come hang.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll come hang out with you because
We're fun.
We're on Hartford Road. It's not far.
Yeah, it's real close, so that'll work out well. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, well, congratulations on this fantastic album. I was even had it spin and walking the dog tonight, and every time I hear it, I pick up another nuance or something else added.
Oh, thank you. It's been wild to see this many people like it. Like, we were proud of it, but like you always put it out like, yeah, maybe 5 people are gonna like it, but it's been total opposite. So it's been really cool.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get you at Maryland Death Fest soon again.
Yeah, we're hoping. And like I said, come hang at the show. And I appreciate you guys doing this stuff. It's not a lot of you guys don't get enough thanks for doing this kind of stuff.
The sounds of decay!
Sounds of Decay 1. Let's go.
This is Sounds of Decay 1, Strychnos with Armageddon Patronage. Strychnine is a particularly noxious poison, lethal in small amounts, odorless, quick-acting, also untraceable for your murderers out there. It's derived from the Asian tree Strychnos vomica, often producing death if ingested or even inhaled. In warfare, it can be used to poison arrows, bringing death from above. Strychnos is the Greek word for this toxin and also the apt moniker of a trio of blood-soaked Danes, also steeped in wickedness and brawn, bringing death via metal.
As soon as she played this for me, the song that bounded right into my head was the Sonic Strychnine. I like the taste of sweet strychnine. No, let's play it. Anyway.
Little different music.
Yeah. Anyway, so I've been blasting the Sonics all week because of this. Armageddon Patronage is the second full length since 2022, but they actually put out their first demo in 1998. You can surely hear the steeped in 90s old school death metal in their sound, a throwback similar to early Marduk. I'm not sure if it was the many other projects of Martin Leth Anderson and Nisrod Larson, lineup changes, or just life that caused the 24-year wait for a full length. Maybe we can thank the pandemic for resuscitating this band, but thank the Dark Lord that they are back again with 8 new tracks that fall mostly in the 4 to 6 minute range. The title track, Armageddon Patronage, starts with Anderson letting out a scream that rips like the skin off the back of your thighs, like after sitting on a sweaty vinyl chair and standing up very quickly. They settle into a classic, what I call death rattle, where the double bass of Nisrod Larson pumps away with his sticks tapping out rattlesnake-like, the tremolo guitar of Andreas Ling rising on top. Anderson's vocals are a throaty garble through clenched teeth, heeding our call to end it all, plowing through everything, harvest all living. Lynch's guitar spills out riffs in higher octave as Anderson is furiously pulling notes from his bass and some spoken word samples float in. The death rattle returns in other tracks like Sweeping Storm of Suicide. The rattle takes turns with the growled vocals in a delightfully horrid duet.
Endless Void Dimension, the only track that has a 7+ minute runtime, builds the atmosphere for well over a minute with ethereal but striking synth tones with unearthly moans that seem reverent and ominous. Anderson lets go with that signature shriek as guitars chime in with minor chord rapture. The guest vocals of Michael Poulsen of Volbeat adds a clean layer to the mix. I will take my righteous seat before Anderson growls back, all eventually falling away until only guitar wails remain. There are 2 tracks where the lyrics are all in Danish. Stanken af died, which translates to the stench of virtue, starts with a gong-like tone that sounds like approaching thunder. Guitars occasionally chime in accelerating riffs. Chants return near the end. The lyrics translate to, this stinks of fear, this stinks of crying, this stinks of you. The other track in Danish is, please forgive me if I pronounce this wrong, Nada van Dren Rijden, meaning the night walker. The track starts off at a double doom pace before the tempo changes to a meaty churn. You can feel Larson's double bass pound off your chest and the air of despair in the riffs. Anderson's vocals are bolstered by the backing voices of the band before he lets out a yowl that sounds like someone stepping barefoot on a Lego in the dark.
Oh, I hate that.
The track also features a soaring guitar solo that repeats its own doleful melody. As the track ends, all fades, leaving the sound of a stark wind blowing tumbleweeds over a ghost town.
She said doleful. Wow.
So get out your scythe, place a bucket of blood over your head, and haunt your local graveyard of choice. Crank up the volume for this classic death metal with a modern twist. Indulgently enjoy the familiar taste of poison.
Okay, let's play the Sonics now. No, okay. This song is called Stanken Off Died. Okay, Sounds of Decay 2 is Angst, Culture of Brutality. Angst, long-running crust grindcore outfit out of Berlin, is essentially one man, Tom Schmidt, who created the moniker back in 2012. Despite the fact that this is their 5th full-length album along with a slew of EPs, comps, and splits, I was completely unfamiliar with them. However, the quality of this riff-tastic 20-song, 34-minute entree was soon getting constant rotations in Snaggletooth land. We are talking super intense, stop-start, hardcore-infused grindcore, spiked with guitar harmonies. I mean, this sounds like the bastard child of Pig Destroyer and Night Feed with people. Schmidt's vocal weapon is a single-shade, blood-curdling scream that he employs ferociously in every song. As you can guess from song titles like Teeth into Flesh and Of Rusty Knives, this is pure, unadulterated disgust core.
Maybe a techno shot. Take any song, really. Let us say doing your part, which kicks off with masterfully hard pan riffing before skull battering percussion charges in the front door as Schmidt screeches, working, working, working till you're fucking dead. Middle class fantasies, slavery ain't that bad. Yeah, we have all been there from time to time.
Like every day.
Vitreous conformity is another crusher, kicking off with a very Slayer-informed riffing, the perfect foil for Smith to enlighten us about a hedonist utopia. Fun for the whole family. Honestly, this is riff utopia for the ADHD generation. Absolutely caustic and thrilling. The one we are going to play for you now is the one that initially grabbed our attention earlier this month, Spanking Your Laser Brain. I absolutely defy you not to wag your head on that first breakdown about 15 seconds in. I defy you.
Yep.
At any rate, shame on me for sleeping on angst up until this point, but you better believe I will be using the back catalog as an excuse to smash unwanted furniture.
Right. Okay, this is Spanking Your Laser Brain. Okay, Sounds of Decay 3.
This is Cold Cell, Age of Unreason. Switzerland, the home of precision watches, chocolatiers, and very discreet banking. Luckily for us, it is also the home to the long-standing 5-piece black metal outfit, Cold Cell, a band with a rich history of music straight out of the dark abyss. Age of Unreason is their 5th full length since forming back in 2012. There's an air of mystery to Cold Cell, as each member goes by a short abbreviation as opposed to their real name. The band lists in on bass and vocals and DML on guitars and AW on drums. Very curious indeed. What impressed me about Age of Unreason is the huge drum sound dialed up by AW and Svengali producer V. Santora, who has twiddled the knobs for everyone from Dark Fortress to Calm. It is very orthodox black metal style, but the reverb-soaked drums pounding out tribal transgression is highly reminiscent of something like Ruins of Bavarest and adds spice to even the slower processional tempos.
Case in point, Dead to the World, second track on the disc, really settles into the battering tempo I'm talking about. In's throaty rasp recalling Jens Ryden from Thirfing at times, preaching, "Yet we are still dead to the world," as AW slams into speeding violence, battering double bass and snare abuse that shifts to a tribal groove enhanced marvelously by some dissonant guitar squiggles at precisely the right moments. But just when you think you've got these Matterhorns all figured out, the band switches gears for Meaningless, a track that features the lovely vocals of Inns Brodbeck, which combined with clean guitars may have you wondering if this is actually the same band. But around the 4-minute mark, the combination of her soaring layered voice and AW's pounding blast beats make it apparent that this track is a bold and satisfying left turn for Cold Cell. Very impressive stuff, highly recommended for fans of epic black metal fondue like some of the ones we mentioned. Most of these tracks dwell around the 6 to 7 minute mark and unfold their dark charms and high drama convincingly. The album drops officially on July 26th, but there are already a few tasty morsels up on Spotify, so check them out. This is Dead to the World. Has anyone ever had so many interesting takes on the salad bar?
You know what? I actually thought for a while COVID was going to be the death of the salad bar. I really did. I mean, I remember going to the grocery stores and they were all empty with the pans turned over. But
It seemed like the end of an era.
yeah, they seem to be making a reappearance, even though Ruby Tuesday folded. I think most of them. Anyway, all the ones by us did.
And we talked about summer camp. Thank God I was a good kickball player, or it would have been rough.
Yeah, after that, I think the food, I went on to another camp called Trickery Cookery, where we got to, do all kinds of cooking things, like cooking in a reflector oven. We made brownies using the sun, and everything involved aluminum foil for some reason. I guess it's a good, we would cut an orange and throw cake batter in, and then you throw the whole orange into the fire in aluminum foil, and you have a slightly orange flavored cake.
Okay.
Yeah. In case you want to make a cake in the apocalypse, you have me to thank.
This has been the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast. Special thanks to Rob from Cognitive for appearing on the show. Snaggletooth theme by Gustav Fjord of Defleshed. Sounds of Decay theme by Steve Rathbone of Lair of the Minotaur. Season 3 artwork by KC Angel. Sounds of Decay bands this week. Check them out. Cold Cell, Strychnos, and Angst. All content 2024, the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast.
Inventing a new superhero. I am Zebra Girl, and my special ability is producing blue cheese dressing for the salad bar.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.